He came home with us, but his mind never left the shelter. That's the only way I can describe those first few weeks. His body was here, in our house, on our floors, breathing our air, but his eyes were somewhere else entirely. Somewhere with metal bars and cold concrete. Somewhere he was still waiting to be given back. We named him Bear, a massive, smoke-gray Maine Coon with amber eyes and fur so thick it looked like he was wearing a winter coat year-round. When we picked him up, the shelter worker warned us. "He's been through a lot," she said quietly. "Give him time. More time than you think he needs." I nodded. I thought I understood. I didn't. Bear had been surrendered twice before we found him. Nobody ever told us exactly why. Maybe he was too big. Maybe he didn't fit into someone's idea of what a house cat should be. Maybe they just gave up too soon. All I knew was this. By the time he came to us, he had learned something terrible. He had learned that love doesn't last. He'd spent nearly 14 months in that shelter altogether. 14 months of concrete floors and fluorescent lights, watching families walk past his kennel, point at kittens instead, and leave without him. He wasn't small. He wasn't the kind of cat that melts a stranger's heart in 3 seconds. He was enormous, serious, and quiet. And somewhere along the way, people stopped seeing that as a good thing. The first night, he didn't explore. He didn't sniff the corners or investigate the furniture the way most cats do. He found the space behind the litter box, wedged himself into it, and stayed there, not moving, not making a sound, just watching us with those wide gold eyes like he was calculating exactly how long this would last before we changed our minds too. Every sound made him flinch. The dishwasher running, a door closing, my footsteps in the hallway. He would flatten himself to the ground and disappear into whatever shadow was nearest. I put out toys. He ignored them. I put out a soft bed. He slept on the cold tile instead, curled so tightly he looked like he was trying to erase himself from the room. Days passed, then a full week. I kept telling myself, he'll come around. But Bear stayed exactly where he was, physically present and emotionally somewhere else completely. There was a hollowness behind his eyes that I couldn't shake from my thoughts. Not sadness exactly, something closer to disbelief. I want to say something to anyone watching this who's thinking about adopting. If you take this seriously, if you've made it this far into a story like this one, you understand something most people don't. Please subscribe. It helps stories like Bear's reach the people who need to hear them. I changed how I approached him. No sudden movements, no forced affection. I would sit on the floor a few feet away, not reaching towards him, just existing quietly in his space. Some days, nothing happened. He watched, I waited, but other days the distance between us shrank by a few inches, and I could feel something underneath all that fear, a small, stubborn hope that hadn't been completely crushed. I stopped trying to coax him out with treats or hold him before he was ready. I just let him watch, let him decide on his own terms whether this house was different from the last two. There's a particular kind of patience rescue animals demand. Not the patience of waiting for something to happen, but the patience of proving day after day that nothing bad is going to happen either. Then, on day 19, everything changed. I was working at my desk when I heard a soft thump behind me. I turned around slowly, expecting to see him retreating again. Instead, Bear was standing upright, fully upright, on his hind legs, front paws tucked against his chest like a little gray statue. He was staring directly at me, and for the first time since he'd arrived, he didn't look away.
I sat completely still. My heart was pounding. I didn't want to break whatever this moment was. We stared at each other for what felt like minutes, though it was probably only seconds. Then he dropped back onto all four paws, turned, and walked slowly toward the hallway. But something had shifted. I could feel it. Over the next few weeks, Bear started testing the edges of trust. He'd sit in the doorway watching. Then he'd move a little closer, then closer still. He never rushed it. Every step forward was deliberate, like he was still gathering evidence that this life was actually going to stay. By week 6, his personality started breaking through the fear. He discovered the sunbeam that landed on the kitchen floor every morning and came running tail high, no longer flattened to the ground. He started playing, chasing a crumpled piece of paper across the hardwood with focused, serious intensity. And he kept doing that thing, standing upright, paws folded, watching me. It became his signal. When he wanted attention, he'd stand. When something outside caught his interest, he'd rise up like a small gray sentinel. I started calling him my little meerkat because he looked exactly like a cat who had decided, quite seriously, to become a person. Then one evening, while I was reading on the couch, Bear climbed up beside me. He hesitated for a moment, like he was still deciding. Then he stepped onto my lap, turned in a slow circle, and lay down. He tucked his chin against his paws and let out the longest, slowest exhale I had ever heard from him, like he had been holding his breath for 2 years and had finally let it go. I work from home, so Bear and I spend nearly every hour together now. He knows when I'm stressed before I notice it myself, and he'll come sit nearby, not demanding anything, just letting me know he's there. That kind of quiet, steady presence changes something in you. One afternoon, I brought him out onto the balcony for the very first time. He stepped carefully across the concrete, ears swiveling, nose working overtime. A breeze moved through, and his eyes went wide. He rose onto his hind legs, nose lifted into the wind, completely present in that moment for what felt like the first time since we'd met him. Watching him like that, I thought about how close he'd come to never having this, how many people had walked past his kennel, how many nights he'd spend waiting for someone who wasn't coming. I thought about the 2 families before us, the ones who never got to see this version of him because they didn't wait long enough to find it. 14 months of fear doesn't undo itself in a weekend. It made me grateful, in a way that almost hurt, that we hadn't given up during those first quiet, difficult weeks when nothing seemed to be changing at all. Before Bear, I didn't fully understand how much quiet grief I was carrying. I didn't realize what it meant to have something show up for you every single day, expecting nothing but your presence. He didn't fix everything that was broken in me, but he changed the air in this house. He changed something in me that I'm not sure I could have reached any other way. If this story meant something to you, share it with someone who needs it today. And if you're considering adopting a cat like Bear, remember this: they don't always arrive healed. Sometimes they carry everything they've ever survived right there behind their eyes. Be patient, be steady, just be near them without asking for anything back. Because the love a rescued cat gives you once he finally believes you're not going to leave reaches a part of you that nothing else ever can. So here's what I keep wondering. Do you think cats like Bear love harder because of what they survived? Or does every cat love exactly the same no matter where they started? Tell me what you think in the comments.